EAA members are justifiably proud of their attendance at Oshkosh, anniversaries spanning decades of flying in,
my 46th year,
or driving to the event, years of camping in the same spot, surrounded by the people who, although they may meet only once each year, have become good friends or even family. But every year, birthday celebrations of other kinds are held at AirVenture, those of the aircraft. 30 years ago, this airplane was introduced at what was then known as Whitman Field. It has since become the most successful amateur-built airplane in the world.
Dick Van Brunsven, otherwise known as Van, the owner of Van's Aircraft, designed this aircraft in 1986, where it made its debut. So this year is the 30th year anniversary of the design of the RV6, and it's a buildable aircraft, and that's why you see so many of them. Van did a wonderful thing with that design, and as a result, you can see it behind me and around you. They're everywhere, and it's just quite exciting.
Almost 300 RV6s were registered at Oshkosh this year to join the celebration. More than 2,500 are certified and are flying. Although the design was discontinued in 2001 to make way for newer RV models, there are still some in various stages of completion, ensuring that there will be new builds arriving at Oshkosh for many years to come.
Oh my gosh, to put it simply, you don't fly this plane, you wear this plane. It's just a joy to fly. It would be like driving a Porsche, because it's just feels so good in your hands and comfortable, and it's got a lot of speed. So it's just a lot of fun to fly.
1976 was the first time the then-year-old ultralight movement was represented at Oshkosh. John Moody, generally considered the father of ultralights, brought his Easy Riser. 40 years later, the movement he helped pioneer has led directly to the types of light aircraft we see today at the Fun Fly Zone. We step back 3 decades from the 70s for the debut of the Navion, originally built by the company that forms the first 2 letters of its name, North American, but later put into production by Ryan. It was designed for what was predicted to be a burgeoning civilian post-World War II market, but military versions were also produced. It served both applications well.
We ended up with the basis of an aircraft that could transcend the years and be totally up to date with everything else that's being manufactured. So I would say, congratulations to the originator and the designer of the Navion for putting out such a basic, great product back then, and something that anybody could actually afford to get into.
Production continued under several different companies, finally ending in 1976. Several attempts to revive the Navion followed, and in 2003, Sierra Hotel Aero purchased the patents and have said the new Navion aircraft are a year or so in the future. 70 years ago was also the inaugural year for Cessna's C-120 and C-140 single-engine tailwheel fleet. In production during 1946 to 1951, these 2-seaters served general aviation pilots from the post-World War II era through today. It was a year of 70th anniversaries at Oshkosh.
Chipmunk first flew in 1946. The aircraft has flown all over the world, all 6 continents, mostly in Commonwealth Air Forces, and formed the backbone of primary train both for Canada and the Royal Air Force, as well as many other air forces around the world. It's great to see this aircraft still in the air, because it's mostly an unsung aircraft, because no one really knows what it did, but it performed a vital function for the pilot training of our allies all the way through the Cold War.
The Chipmunk was created by de Havilland, Canada, as a trainer to replace the Tiger Moth biplane that dated from before the Second World War. The design incorporated the Gypsy Major engine and other components of the Tiger Moth program. Its wings are part metal and partially fabric covered. Factories in Canada, England, and Portugal produced almost 1,300 by 1961.
You can do amazing things in the C-17 and amazing things in the T-6, but to take this old airplane and fly 900 miles from Austin, Texas, all the way up to here is just something really cool. You're flying at lower altitude, you can feel the aircraft because of the fabric covered control surfaces, and it's a great way to see America. So the most fun amount of flying I have is right here in these airplanes.
About a dozen were on display this year at Oshkosh. 4 Chipmunks are still used today by British military to provide tail dragger time to pilots who fly vintage fighters and bombers as part of the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight. 3/4 of a century ago, a group of airplanes were produced by 4 different companies to compete for a contract to build a low and slow observation aircraft for the U.S. Army. Stinson, Taylorcraft, Aranca, and Piper, whose plane was really a military version of their J-3 Cub. They all came up with designs as well as eventual modifications designated the Grasshopper. But they're almost never called that. They will always be L-birds.
We've had vets that we've put in when they couldn't even hardly get out of the wheelchair, that we've hoisted them in and got them in because they wouldn't be able to do it anywhere else. And it's pretty cool. You get the vets with the planes that they flew and took care of during the war. The plane takes on its own life with them. It's got a soul when you put that human with it. And to get their stories, it's fabulous. That is why we do what we do. See, now I gave myself goosebumps. Because the planes are neat, but you put the people that flew them in the war, it's fabulous.
They kind of look at it as flying history. I mean, they look at it and you tell them how old it is, and yeah, this is a World War II airplane, and you can just see it in their faces, and they're just all excited.
It's a fun airplane to fly. It doesn't go very fast and very far, doesn't carry a lot, but it's a lot of fun to fly.
I've always felt this way with our stuff because we're the caretakers of the aircraft right now. But the history of this airplane goes to all the guys that have flown it and serviced it and own it and saw it overhead in combat and stuff. So this is their airplane.
There were approximately 3 dozen Spartan Executives built, and the 8 on display at Oshkosh 16 are the largest gathering of them ever. Known as the Learjet of its day, it was commissioned by Skelly oil owner William Skelly, and customers included J. Paul Getty and Howard Hughes. Built to carry 3 or 4 passengers and a pilot, the Spartan Executive included a luxurious interior with spacious seating, ashtrays, and soundproofing. Finally, traveling back an entire century, we celebrate the birth of Boeing on EAA's Boeing Centennial Plaza. During 100 years, they've done it all. The first transcontinental airline, early airmail aircraft, the jet that became the 707, military aircraft, and continuing on the cutting edge with the 787. To celebrate, on display at Oshkosh were examples of the venerable Stearman, the B-17 Flying Fortress, and the B-29 Super Fortress, an Alaska Airlines 737-800, a FedEx Boeing 767 freighter, and a Cathay Pacific 747-8 freighter.
We are here this year to celebrate our 100-year centennial. So July 15th, 1916, Bill Boeing founded what is today the Boeing Company. And it started out with small airplanes, and now it covers the gambit of military aircraft, space aircraft, and our commercial airplanes. Boeing loves the Oshkosh Air Show. There's so much passion and energy here. It's where the older generation of aviators meets the future generation of aviators. And it's where the dreamers and innovators make us excited about the future.